Welcome everyone to Fun Fold Friday. I'm Dorene Decibus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and I'm really happy if you're joining me tonight or if you're watching on the replay. I love you being able to support my page, so thank you for that. Tonight I have a really fun fold for you, so I'm just going to get things ready to make sure everything is visible tonight, so I can just adjust my camera a little bit. I just want to make sure everything can be seen clearly. Perfect. Sorry about my hands getting in the way there. All right. So tonight I have actually a fun fold that I shared a picture of it as a card of the day earlier this week. And it's this card right here. Make sure my light's okay. And so this is a really fun fold. It gives you some different dimension, and it can fold flat and fit in a standard envelope, and so that's really nice. And then the best part, it is super easy to make. So I love having something that looks special and then is easy easy to do. So let me share everything that you need. So I'm going to be using the Dainty Delight stamp set tonight. It is a set that is found in the new mini catalog. I've already taken out the stamps that I'm going to be using. It's a cling stamp set. So it uses the rubber as a base instead of the photopolymer material. And it was the set that, as I was going through the catalog for the first time, that just jumped out at me, and it definitely spoke to me. So this was the set I ended up purchasing as my first set. And then what's really cool is in the Celebration catalog, there is designer series paper that coordinates with this bundle, and I actually am using that in the card tonight too. So that is very cool. Let me just move that aside. For our dimensions, and I'm going to hold this up in a minute. I know that I've been trying to include the dimensions in my broadcast and having it right here on the paper for you. Let me just make sure I'm getting this all good view of it. Let me try this. So someone suggested, a friend of mine who was watching my videos, suggested that I hold this up to the camera a little more and allow you to take a screenshot of it. I'm also going to put it in the description on my Facebook Live, and I'm also going to put it in the description on my YouTube channel. So I'm going to have it right here. I'm going to go over it with you, and hopefully you can either zoom in and see it, or you'll find it in some additional places so that you can create this. So thank you, Evelyn, for making those suggestions to me. So the first thing you need is a piece of I'm using Old Olive tonight, and boy, I don't think I'm getting some good light. Let me just, there, I think, is that a little better? It is just so dark tonight. So I'm using a piece of Old Olive cardstock, and it measures 4 1/4 by 10 1/2. So I cut a 1/2 inch off, 1 in, and I scored it at, let me turn it the right. Yes, I scored it at 5 1/2, 6 3/4, 8 3/4, and 10 inches. So those are the score marks. They're also on this sheet, and I will be posting it in the description as well. You also will need a second piece of Old Olive, or whatever base of the cardstock you're going to be using. And this one is 3 1/4 inches across and 5 inches wide. And it is scored at 1/2 inch and 1 1/2 inches. Then to use as background on this card, I'm using some of the Dainty Flowers Designer Series paper. Isn't that just beautiful? I love it. And here's the back side. We're going to be using both sides of this. Here it is right here. So this piece is 4 by 5 1/4. This piece is 4 by 1 3/4. And then this piece, and again, I'm going to be using the back side of this. This piece is 3 by 3 1/4. I took a scrap piece of my Designer Series paper on this size. So we're using both sides of both designs tonight. And I cut using the, let me just make sure I'm saying, the framed florets. I used the die to cut this piece out. And when you cut the die out, the frame, so here's a white one, the center cuts out too. So you get this perfect frame, and the frame is embossed, and then you get the centerpiece. So you're going to need a scrap of Whisper White to cut this out. And I also cut a 7/8 of an inch by 2.5 inch of cardstocks for the greeting. I'm using some white twine, some white baker's twine from the value pack, or the multi-pack twine. So I'm using the white. I made a double bow. I'm going to use Memento black ink and Old Olive ink just to match the cardstock. And then the final thing for my bling, I'm going to use the 2021 to 2023 in color opal rounds. So I'm going to be using the pink ones. And so that is it for materials. So let's get started. So we're going to take this piece of cardstock, and I'm going to fold it on all of the score marks, and I'm folding them all inward because we're going to make this this first fun fold. So when I fold it all the way in, it's going to end up something like this. And just trying to make sure I've got as much light shining, and it looks like I have froze. Cardstock. Okay, here we go. On all of the score marks, and I'm folding them all. All right, so we're going to be making sure that we can fold this like this. So what I'm going to do before I do any of this, I'm going to add my Designer Series paper on this piece, because I'm going to have a piece that's going to go right here. So I'm going to add, that is my green piece, and I'm just going to use some Stampin' Seal to do so. Let me get it going. There we go. So that piece is going, oops, upside down. Let's make sure it's going the right way. So that piece is going to go on that front panel, the one that will turn out to be the front panel. This is the bottom, this is the top. And the largest piece of Designer Series paper, which is so pretty. The way the Designer Series paper is printed, you can cut 6 of these images of the larger flowers, 6 pieces that are 4 by 5 1/4, which is very cool. So I'm going to put my Stampin' Seal on the back, and that's going to go on the inside here. So I'm just going to layer that piece on. And then my adhesive for this is going to go right here. And what I want you to think about is I want this to fold flat, and I want it to make this piece right here. So I am going to actually, when I put the adhesive on here, I'm going to hold it like this so that when I pull it up, it will do this and make that kind of rectangular box. So I'm going to put my Stampin' Seal right across, and I am going to fold it like this and adhere it. And then when I open this up, I've got my first piece that's done. That easy. So just as a reminder, this is what the front looks, and it will be folded down again. So on this piece, I'm going to do the same thing and fold inward towards the back in the same direction. My adhesive is going to, so you can see how this piece goes like this. So it's going to be going, I need adhesive here and I need adhesive here. There we go. And like I said, I need the adhesive here as well. And I want this to fold flat. So I'm going to take the whole tab and fold it over, both fold marks. I'm going to fold this down, and I am going to place this where I'd like it to go. So want it close to, want some of those flowers to stick out. So I'm just going to, that just about here. And now when I open it up, I've got that nice fun fold, and I just need to readjust it to get it to stand. And what I'm going to do now is take my piece of Designer Series paper. This is the piece that goes on the front panel. And I'm going to put that there. And then the next thing I'm going to add is my frame. And I want to put this on first because it's going to help determine where everything else goes. And the one thing I have to be careful of is that this top piece, that I don't put any adhesive on it, because if I do, then when this goes into an envelope, it's going to stick, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to hold on to that, make sure I turn it the way that I want it to be, knowing I'm not going to put any adhesive there. And for this, I'm going to use some of the liquid glue. So just getting it started and just dabbing it all the way around. So I'm not sure where all of you live, but we got a lot more snow today than we were supposed to, especially where I work. I work in Peterborough, and the snow, it snowed all day, and it wasn't even supposed to start until 1 o'clock. And it started around, well, it started on the way to work. It was snowing as I left my house at 6 in the morning. So we just kept getting snow all day long today. So that's in place. Perfect. I'm just going to set this aside now to do my stamping. So to start with, I'm going to take my Celebrate You stamp. And I always, when I'm using, after I mount a stamp onto the clear blocks, I always come back to my pad here and I line it up to see how is this going to stamp out. And it's not bad, but it lets me know that I just need to lift it up just a little bit. So I'm going to, so lift up means tilt it up just a little bit. I'm going to stamp that in the middle of the white tag, and that's done. And actually I was going to do that in Old Olive, but it's in black. It'll be okay. This is what I want it to stamp in the black. And I'm going to stamp that right on the centerpiece. And I'm going to put it up towards the top and just make sure that ink transfers beautiful. Cover that ink so I don't get black on everything. And I'm going to do a little bit of coloring. So I've got here the light fresh freesia Stampin' Blend and the light soft succulent. So I'm going to color in the leaves. I'm not going to worry about doing any shading on this particular stamped image. It's a very tiny stamped image, so I don't really want to, I really don't want to try to do the shading on this. So I'm just using these clearly as just a coloring tool and not as something I can shade. So I'm just filling in these little circles at the top of the flower. Doesn't take much ink, but it adds a nice touch to just have some of the color. And I'm doing this all in fresh freesia. It is one of the colors from the Designer Series paper, so that's how I came up with it. I thought that it would show up nicely that compared to using more of a petal pink. So just a little bit of a darker shade. Okay, everything's done now for this card. So the next step is I am going to, here it is, I took a new sheet of dimensionals. I'm going to take some dimensionals and I'm going to raise this oval image that is going in the center of the frame. Now, you might be asking, why I'm using Designer Series paper when I'm covering a lot of it up. But what I like about this, the way the card is, you can see into the different layers. So you can see the different types of Designer Series paper, the different designs that's on it. So I'm layering that on. And then I'm going to take my tag here, and I am just going to add the ends of a banner on this. So I just cut into the center and then make a diagonal cut, and so I get it to look like a banner. I could use a punch to do this, but I find this works just as well for me. So I have my Celebrate You. It's going to go right here at the bottom of the frame. And I'm going to add that right there. And then the only other, I just have two last things to do for the card. So make sure if you're watching on the live or the replay, please leave me a comment. Say hello. Tell me where you're watching from. I would love it if you shared this link. That's one way that you can really help my small business, is to share my lives so that other people can see them. And remember, I am also posting all of my lives on YouTube, so that's another place that you can find them. So now I'm just going to add the beautiful glitter dots, and I always, most of the time I do 3, and I try to put them in a triangle formation. So there is the front of the card. Here's what it looks like opened up, and kind of give you an idea of that dimension that it has. Though it seems, at least on what I'm watching my device, that a little bit dark. And again, it will stand up. So you get a nice three-dimensional card that you can give to a friend and just play with it a little bit, and it stands up nice and straight like that. So that is it for this week. Some final announcements. Remember the new mini catalog went live on the 4th this week, so 2 days ago. If you didn't get one and you need one, please contact me so that I can get one sent to you as soon as possible. We will be back live again next Friday night at 6 o'clock, so I hope you'll be able to join me, either live or on the replay. And until then, I hope you have a great week and enjoy your weekend. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.